In a small, forgotten town, there stood an abandoned house, shrouded in legends and dark tales. Locals spoke of eerie whispers that floated through the air at night, warning anyone who dared to venture too close. Most stayed away, but a curious teenager named Alex decided to investigate. One chilly autumn evening, armed with only a flashlight and his phone, Alex approached the house. The door creaked open as if inviting him inside. The air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. As he stepped over the threshold, a chill ran down his spine. The interior was a maze of shadows. Each room was cluttered with old furniture, and the walls were lined with faded photographs. The faces in the pictures seemed to follow him, their eyes glinting in the beam of his flashlight. He shook off the feeling and continued deeper into the house. As he explored, Alex heard a faint whisper, barely audible. "Get out!" It was a soft, haunting voice that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. He paused, heart racing, but his curiosity pushed him onward. He reached a staircase leading to the basement. With each step down, the whispers grew louder, intertwining with the sound of his heartbeat. "Leave now, before it's too late," he hesitated, but adrenaline propelled him forward. The basement was dark and damp, filled with old boxes and broken furniture. In the corner, he spotted an old mirror, cracked and dusty. As he approached, he noticed something odd. Reflected in the glass was not just his image, but shadowy figures lurking behind him. Panic surged through him as he spun around, but no one was there. The whispers turned frantic. "Run!" They echoed in his ears, drowning out his thoughts. In a blind rush, Alex sprinted up the stairs, the air thick with an unseen presence. As he burst through the door and into the night, he heard one final whisper, chilling him to the bone. "You can't escape us." He didn't stop running until he reached home. Breathing heavily, he told himself it was just a trick of the mind. But that night, as he lay in bed, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The shadows seemed to stretch and creep closer, whispering his name. Days turned into weeks, but the whispers never faded. They followed him, haunting his dreams and taunting his every move. Desperate for answers, Alex returned to the house, hoping to confront whatever was tormenting him. This time, the air was electric with tension. The moment he stepped inside, the whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar. "Join us!" they cried, echoing through the hallways. Terrified, Alex ran to the basement again, drawn by a force he couldn't explain. The mirror stood before him, and he felt an irresistible pull. As he touched the glass, the world around him blurred, and suddenly he was pulled inside. The cold darkness enveloped him, and he realized the truth. The whispers were the lost souls trapped within the house, searching for someone to join them. In that moment, he became just another whisper in the shadows, forever bound to the abandoned house, warning others who dared to enter. The dawn after Alex and Sarah's harrowing escape from the house felt eerily calm. But the tranquility didn't last long. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. The shadows in her room flickered as if they were alive, whispering secrets only she could hear. She felt a cold draft slide through her window, bringing with it a familiar voice that chilled her to the bone. "Help us, come back." Desperate for answers, Sarah decided to return to the house alone, convinced that the whispers were calling her back. Armed with a flashlight and a determined heart, she approached the dark silhouette of the structure. The air was thick with foreboding, and the wind howled like a warning. As she stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The house felt alive, pulsating with an energy that was both inviting and terrifying. The whispers swirled around her, drawing her deeper into the shadows. "Find us, join us," they beckoned, echoing through the corridors. With each room she passed, Sarah could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon her. The photographs on the walls seemed to change, the faces twisting into expressions of anguish. She shuddered but pressed on, her heart racing. When she reached the basement, she hesitated. The mirror stood ominously in the center, its cracked surface reflecting a distorted version of reality. Gathering her courage, she approached it, feeling the same pull Alex had felt. "Alex," she called, desperation flooding her voice. In response, the whispers turned frantic. "Join us! Help us!" The mirror shimmered, and she could see Alex's face trapped within, a look of terror etched across his features. "Sarah, don't!" he yelled, but the warning was drowned out by the cacophony of voices. Ignoring the danger, Sarah reached for the mirror, and as she touched the surface, she was pulled into a swirling vortex of darkness. She found herself in a nightmarish realm, a twisted reflection of the house she knew. Shadows writhed around her, their forms grotesque and haunting. "Welcome back," a voice hissed, slithering through the darkness. Sarah turned to see the figure of a woman, her face obscured by long, tangled hair. "You thought you could escape? We are many, and we hunger for souls." The shadows closed in, and Sarah felt a chill grip her heart. "No, I won't be like you," she shouted, trying to push back the encroaching darkness. But the woman's laughter echoed around her, a sound filled with malice. "You're already ours. Your friend is trapped, and soon you will be too." Panic surged as the shadows lunged at her. She stumbled back, desperately searching for a way out. The whispers turned into a haunting chant, urging her to succumb. "Join us, join us." Just then, she spotted a faint light in the distance, an exit. Summoning her strength, she ran toward it, the shadows clawing at her heels. "Sarah!" Alex's voice broke through the chaos, filled with urgency. "You can't give in. Fight!" With renewed determination, Sarah pushed through the darkness, feeling the cold tendrils of despair trying to pull her back. "I'm coming for you," she shouted, focusing on Alex's face. She reached the light, feeling warmth engulf her. In that moment, she grasped onto the last remnants of hope. "We're getting out of here together." She grabbed the edges of the light, and it surged forward, engulfing her and pulling her back to reality. She stumbled into the basement, gasping for breath. But something was wrong. The air was thick with shadows, and Alex was nowhere to be found. "Alex!" she cried, panic setting in. The whispers had grown stronger, and she could feel their presence closing in around her. Part 3. The dark awakening. As the town slumbered, a thick fog rolled in, wrapping the abandoned house in an eerie shroud. Inside, the air pulsed with a malevolent energy, and the whispers of the lost grew louder, a cacophony of despair echoing through the halls. Sarah and Alex were trapped, their souls entwined with those of countless others, forever bound to the darkness. Days passed in a blurred nightmare. Sarah found herself in a surreal landscape within the mirror, a twisted version of her own reality. Shadows twisted into grotesque figures, taunting her with the faces of friends and family, their eyes hollow and pleading. "Join us, Sarah," they hissed, each whisper cutting deeper than the last. "Let us out," she screamed, her voice swallowed by the encroaching darkness. The figures danced around her, pulling her toward the heart of the abyss. She felt Alex's presence, flickering like a candle in the wind. "Fight it, Sarah. We can break free," he urged, his voice echoing through the torment. But the shadows were relentless, feeding off her fear. "You belong to us now," they murmured, their voices entwining in a hypnotic chant. Despair tightened its grip on her heart, and for a moment, she felt the urge to surrender. Suddenly, a surge of rage ignited within her. "No," she shouted, focusing on Alex. "We're stronger than this." The shadows hesitated, their grip faltering as she fought against their pull. She reached out to Alex, determination blazing in her eyes. "We can do this together." The shadows writhed, hissing in anger. You cannot escape. You will be ours forever. Their voices became a deafening roar, but Sarah refused to back down. Drawing strength from the memories of her life, her laughter, her friendships, her love for Alex, she surged forward, grasping for him. In a blinding flash, their hands met. Light exploded around them, breaking the darkness. The shadows shrieked, recoiling as the light pierced their depths. "No, you will not escape," the woman's voice echoed, a mix of fury and despair. With a final push, Sarah and Alex broke through the veil, shattering the mirror surface. They fell into the basement, gasping for air. But the house had changed. The walls pulsed with a dark heartbeat, and the air was thick with a sense of impending doom. The door slammed shut behind them, and the whispers transformed into a wailing chorus, filled with rage and desperation. "You cannot leave. You will pay for your defiance." Shadows slithered across the floor, reaching for them, a swirling mass of darkness intent on reclaiming its lost souls. "Run!" Alex shouted, grabbing Sarah's hand. They raced up the stairs, the shadows nipping at their heels, their whispers now a frantic cacophony of anger. "Join us! Join us!" Bursting through the front door, they were met with an oppressive silence. The fog had thickened, enveloping the house. It felt as if the very ground beneath them was alive, pulsing with the heartbeat of the lost. "We have to get away from here," Sarah gasped, looking back at the house, which seemed to shift and warp in the mist. But the shadows weren't done. From the depths of the fog, the woman emerged, her form flickering like a flame. "You cannot escape your fate," she screamed, her voice cutting through the night. The ground trembled, and tendrils of darkness shot toward them, wrapping around their legs. With every ounce of strength, Alex and Sarah fought against the pull, their bond igniting a flicker of light within the encroaching darkness. "We won't be yours," Sarah cried, defiance burning in her eyes. The woman's face twisted in rage. "You think you can defy us? We are eternal." As the shadows lunged forward, Sarah remembered the mirror, the source of their torment. "We need to destroy it," she shouted, pointing back to the house. "It's the only way." With the shadows in pursuit, they sprinted back inside. The house seemed to pulse with anger, the whispers reaching a deafening crescendo. "You will regret this," they howled, the walls shaking as if the house itself was alive. In the basement, the mirror stood before them, glowing ominously. "Together!" Alex shouted, and they grasped each other's hands, channeling their collective will. They focused on the light that had pulled them from the darkness, pouring all their strength and love into the mirror. "By the power of our bond, we shatter this curse," Sarah declared, and with that, a brilliant light erupted from their joined hands, crashing against the mirror surface. The mirror trembled, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface. The whispers turned to screams as the light engulfed the room. "No, we will not be forgotten." The woman's face contorted in terror, her form disintegrating into shadows. With one final burst of energy, the mirror shattered, scattering shards of darkness and light throughout the room. The whispers faded to silence, replaced by a sudden calm. Breathing heavily, Sarah and Alex collapsed on the floor, the weight of their ordeal lifting. They looked around, the basement now bathed in a soft glow, free from the malevolent presence. "We did it," Sarah whispered, tears of relief streaming down her face. But just as they thought they were safe, a chilling wind swept through the house, and a whisper lingered in the air. "You may have won this battle, but we are always watching." As they stumbled out of the house, they felt an unsettling weight in their hearts. They had escaped the grasp of the shadows, but the whispers would remain, echoes of the souls they couldn't save. And in the distance, the abandoned house stood silent, waiting, its hunger for souls still unquenched.